The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Reaper Apparel offers a casual line of superb fit, finish, and comfort. We design for those who refuse to die slowly and choose to live untamed. For those who aren't afraid to face the dark, for the ones that thrive in it, and for those who can appreciate life through a grim lens. That's Reaper Apparel Company. Go to the link in the description of this episode, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my own personal merch store, the Stupid Should Hurt merch store. I have hats, I have t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, water bottles, notebooks, you name it, I've got it. The description and the link for that will be in the description of this episode. Also, right now, if you use the promo code WELCOME, I will give you 5% off of your first purchase. That's the Stupid Should Hurt merch store. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood, all American-made apparel, which helps support the Second Amendment. You can also find all this in the description of this episode with the link, Tactical Brotherhood. Part of every proceed does go to helping veterans, as it is a very good cause. All American-made products made right here in Minnesota. Go and check them out. Use the promo code PATRIOT15 to get 15% off your purchase. Now, let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I have a great guest for us lined up this week, but first and foremost, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my own personal merch store, the Stupid Should Hurt merch store. I have hats, t-shirts, I have hoodies and long sleeves because we're coming into that nice crisp fall weather to get you ready for football Friday nights and everything like that. The link for that will be in the description of this episode. If you go there and you use the promo code WELCOME, you will get 5% off of your first purchase. Once again, that's the Stupid Should Hurt merch store. Promo code WELCOME for 5% off. That being said, my guest today is a current administrator at Thiel College. He also is a graduate of there and a former assistant track coach there. Sam Faber joins the show. Sam, thanks for joining, buddy.
Hey, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hey, not a problem at all. So we'll get right into it here a little bit. So you are a current in the admissions office there. So what does that entail for the listeners out there who don't kind of know what it is like to be a college administrator?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of what I do is basically recruiting students to come to Thiel College, having conversations about them, just about their goals, their interests, a lot of what they're interested in career-wise, a lot of, too, obviously which college is the best fit for them, but a lot of why I really enjoy this job is because I get to find out, their passion in life and their career goals and everything, and helping them make that reality is a really, really awesome thing to do. So, with my job, I recruit a lot from the state of Ohio. That's pretty much my main territory. So, when people ask me like, oh, where do you recruit from? I'm like, yeah, I got the whole state of Ohio. So it's definitely pretty time consuming, a lot of responsibility with that, a lot of traveling, which I get to enjoy because I am from Greenville, and Greenville, is a pretty small town. So it gives me a good chance to kind of explore more with what I really enjoy doing.
Right, yeah, you kind of brought me into my next point here, the traveling for your job. So what does that entail? Like, are you always on the road now that school's in session, or is that more in the summers preparing for the year? How does the travel work with what you do?
So a lot of my travel, is really rooted in the fall. I actually just got done now. That was more geared for counselors from high schools and everything. So I just started this past week. I started recruiting a lot in Cleveland this past week. So a lot of that happens in the fall, usually September, October, and then I'll usually recruit in the springtime. Not as much as I do in the fall, but it's usually like a lot of last minute pairs, like kids who are interested, who might not have known they were interested in college until after the holidays and everything. So, it's pretty much just traveling to accommodate those students, and pretty much anyone else who might be interested.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, as someone who travels a lot too for what I do, being a comedian, I feel like I'm forever on the road, and it can get taxing going from city to city to city because I wish it was just all around the state of Ohio because that's where I'm from now. But I've been pretty much all over the Midwest and the East Coast. But it's fun, you know what I mean? I grew up in a very small town in West Virginia. The town had 2,700 total people in it, so everybody knew everybody. And to get out of there and to see some of these bigger cities, it's a little striking, I guess you could say. To see that, like, wow, this is how other people. I don't even know what to do. Like, how do you get around? Like, I don't know what the hell is going on.
That is Greenville to a T. So it's so funny because I forget where I was at, somewhere in Cleveland, and I wanted so bad to try crumble cookies. It's, just a local cookie shop that is probably just another destination for most people who live there. But for me in Greenville, because we don't have that, it was a treat for me. And I remember I brought back some home to my family, and they're like, it's almost like we live like in the middle of nowhere, because it's like, this is just this is normal for some people, but it's a treat for us. And I'm like, yeah.
Absolutely. I do make it a point every time I go home. We have a little pizza shop called DeCarlo's Pizza, and it is by far the best pizza I've ever eaten. And I've been, like I said, all over the Midwest and everything like that, and this takes the cake. And I make sure every time I go home, like, no, I have to make a stop at DeCarlo's. Like, I need to bring that back. And people are like, oh, man, where'd you get this? I'm like, back home. Like, it's a 2-hour drive, but like, it's worth it to me.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what, that's why I love those local small towns, too. Like, even Greenville, even though we don't have those chains or anything like that, you'll still find so many good local spots that people don't even hear of. Like, we have like our local hot dog shop in Greenville called Majestic's Bar and Grill. And, like I said, just basically a hot dog shop, but, you wouldn't think you're going into there just because of like how local it is, local hometown place, but the hot dogs are just unreal. The sauce they use is unreal. Like, and they're small dogs too. So I'll definitely eat like 4 or 5 in one sitting just because they're that good, man. It's
Yeah, I understand that too. Like as I was saying with the Carlos, I'll eat a box by myself. Like that's like 7 or 8 pieces, and like it's just like, all right, I got 4 boxes. One is mine. Like no one's touching this one. Yeah. This one's mine. Like everyone else.
You gotta have your own box.
But yeah, I miss it. I don't get back home as much as I would like to. But, it is nice and it's a nice treat. And I'm sure for you being on the road too as well, when you do get back home, finding those local things is something that you look forward to. And it's like, I get to go home. Yay.
Amen. It makes you appreciate everything so much more.
Absolutely.
It's really nice. It's a really nice perspective.
Oh, for sure. And, another thing about you were the assistant track coach under former guest of the show, Will Mills. I need to know because I love Will to death, and it was a great show, great having him on. What was it like coaching under Will Mills?
It was great. He came in literally my first year too, so I think he came after that recruiting cycle, so we weren't in much contact while I was in high school. But, I got there and he definitely hit the ground running with us, which I really loved. For the first part of the year, he was mainly with the whole team, just doing, basically group team, lifts, team exercises, drills, all that. So his motivation was really cool, awesome. He was very relatable to us, definitely made us want to compete for him, which was really cool, which I think is important for, any coach to have, that skill. And, he wasn't with me personally too much just because I was a thrower. He coached most of the sprinters and sometimes distance people, but once in a while he would come over with the throwers, give us some critiques, check on us, how we're doing. And of course, the track meets always supporting us and always making it known to, like, having his presence known, whether it was motivating us, giving us a clap on the sidelines, helping us if we messed up anything. So all around, I mean, it was great to have him as a head coach, and definitely made some great memories doing track.
Yeah, I mean, as a former college athlete myself, I was a swimmer. I had that coach with me and Coach McGowan at Bethany College. I know that's kind of, Teal and Bethany kind of in the same conference.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little different, but I still remember one meet in particular. There was actually scouts there to recruit me for the Olympics and everything like that from Nike and Speedo. So my adrenaline was going a little bit, more and more, knowing they were there to specifically watch me, and that was because of Coach McGowan. We had that relationship. He knew my goals and what I wanted to do with swimming. But like you said, he can come up and tell you what he did wrong. At the time of this, I did not appreciate it, but it was in the middle of a 100 backstroke, and I was on pace to break our school's backstroke record by a full second. And on my last turn, my shoulder gave out again, and because I had a bad shoulder, and I almost missed the wall on my turn because of it, and I ended up losing the race. And, I got up. I was so mad. Like, I took my cap off. I threw it against the wall. It stuck because that was just my mindset. I'm just a competitor in me, and that's why I like swimming, because it was just me. I couldn't be like, oh, my offensive line didn't block for me. Oh, this receiver didn't make this catch. This guy, whatever happened in team sports. And he came up to me. I wasn't even dry yet. I was still drying myself off. And he was like, do you want to know what your splits were? I was like, absolutely not. I do not want to know that right now. Like, do not tell me this information right now. He was like, well, if you would have made that last turn perfect, you'd have broken the record by a full second. I was like, oh, thanks. That's what I need to know right now. Like, that's not helpful information for me right now. And plus, I hurt my shoulder's out. It's out of place right now. Like, just go away. Please don't.
Worst possible timing.
He was like, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you this. And I was like, you know what? I kind of get it, but I don't. But just go away. And at this point in time, after the 100 backstroke, there was the pause for the diving portion. So now I had like a whole nother half hour to an hour to just sit and stew on that before my next race. And he was still like, you sure you don't want to talk about it? I'm like, I'm 100% positive I don't want to talk about this. Like, just do not talk to me. And then, to make matters worse, I had to go and talk to the scouts, like, right after that race. And they were just like, yeah, we saw what happened. We saw when you hit the wall, and we figured it was an injury. We could see your conditioning. We've watched your tapes and everything like that, so we know something happened. And McGowan worked with me with physical therapy and stuff like that to make sure I could still participate, because there was only about 5 or 6 meets left in the season, and then our conference championships. But you know what? Having that relationship with that coach is something I think every athlete needs. And I know with the way that coaches go to different schools, and they're you might not be part of the same recruiting class, and then all this transfer portal stuff. How did you guys deal with that when you were an assistant for Will? How did you guys deal with that aspect of coaching?
As far as getting transfer students and everything like that, you mean?
Yeah. We know with transfer students and maybe not being part of like the recruiting class that's already there when you came in as a coach. How did that dynamic work?
It honestly felt the same. We didn't have, looking back on it, we didn't have too many transfer students for track specifically. But it was pretty equal for the most part. Whenever we did have someone who was in that situation, they pretty much gelled right away. It was pretty smooth from there. I think a lot of that too has to deal in with like how well Will made people buy in to the team. Because him being that new coach, it's hard for any coach to be like, this is our plan, this is what we're doing. Because a lot of athletes are already set in their ways with what the old coach was doing or with whatever in their mind worked well. So I think for any athlete, that adjustment is hard, but Will had a good personality of like knowing just how to be, like how to make us buy into, his program and everything. And it worked. We had a lot of athletes who did really well under him. Had a lot of kids broke records, myself included, which was really great. And I think that has a lot to do with it. And we had a lot of kids too on our team who, we were fortunate enough that were very coachable. Very rarely do I remember anyone giving our coaches any headaches or anything like that, especially on the throwers end that I saw. We all were just a really coachable group, which I think for any coach, is fantastic for a student to have,
Yeah. I dabbled in coaching a little bit this past summer with some summer swim leagues and everything like that, being an assistant there. And I think some of the kids kind of they gravitated towards me, knowing I had the college experience. I swam in college. I was an Olympic hopeful. They knew they were going to learn from me. But there was few kids that were, like you said, they were set in their ways. Oh, there's this new coach coming in. I've been swimming under this for 4 years now, and now this kid's going to come in, and he thinks he's going to be able to tell me what to do and all this. And we butted heads a lot. But at the end of the season, my biggest accomplishment was they came up to me and they're like, hey, we fought you at the beginning, but we're glad we listened to you because now my times are significantly better. I'm on pace if I keep doing what you showed me to make districts. You know what I mean? And that's big for high school kids and everything like that too. So they saw the bigger picture. It took a while, and it took me, trying to beat it into their heads, and they thought I was picking on them because I was coaching them more because I saw the potential in them. Did you see that with Will when with some of the other with other guys on the track team? Did he hone in on those ones that he saw the potential in, or was it just pretty much across the board?
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit of both. I think people just saw improvements in their own way, which I think, especially for track, D3 track, of course, I think goes a long way. Because you saw people breaking their own personal goals they have for themselves, their own personal times, personal distances, whatever that may be. But then, of course, you had, those athletes who, you needed to do well because that's where the points are, right? You had to make sure, these kids, they definitely have to get top 3, for us to get pretty good points. But yeah, I think across the board, with their own personal goal, because track, like you said with swimming, it's such a personal sport. So I think, because Will knew what our goals were and what we wanted to do, that just, made his job as a coach, I think, a lot easier, just so he knew, hey, all right, we know what your goal is. We're going to work with that. We know what your goal is, which is top 3. And at the pack meet, we're definitely going to work with that too. Yeah. So all around the board, whatever that student needed, he was there for it.
Perfect. Like I said, that's pretty consistent with what I got from Will when I talked to him on the show before. But I always like talking to people who worked with former guests on the show, just because to see that dynamic and how it gels, and to get real life stories so people know that he's not just blowing smoke. This is how he is, and it's phenomenal to see that, and I love seeing it. And I've been following the track and teal a little bit when I can because of it. There's a lot. I got to stop talking to so many coaches and stuff like that because there's a lot of teams I'm following, and it's just I'm just trying to make sure all the guests on the show are still doing phenomenal there and everything like that. But another special dynamic with you is you were a student at Teal too as well. You graduated from there. Now, did you go there specifically for track and field, or what was it about Teal that made you choose that college?
Well, I, was looking at a lot of smaller D3 schools, in my area. I was one of those kids who at the time thought, I want to go to school to play football, and that's going to be that big decision for me. Because I played football in high school, and that was something that I knew I could do in college, but not 100% at the same time. Now, my younger brother, he goes to Teal now. He's built for football. Like, I'm not kidding. He's 6'5", 260. He starts on the line, D line for Teal. He's a beast. He is a beast. You know?
I'd say so. I mean, I'm 6'5", 205, and that just made me cringe a little bit, you know? It's a 260. That's a big boy.
It's insane. It's so fun to watch him do what he does. It's so fun. But like I said, he's definitely built for football. Me, I was out of high school. I was skinnier, you know. I didn't really have that older brother kind of like he does to kind of at least watch and know kind of what to expect with football and everything. So a lot of it was just me going in fresh and trying new things. So I went to Teal, decided on that because I really liked the program. I really liked everything about it. Decided to try football. Didn't really personally care for it too much while I was there. And not because of like anything specific, like coach or teammates or everything. It was just kind of me falling out of it, like with football. Like I didn't really care for it too much anymore. But I like track, and I got into track ironically because of football. You know, pretty much like any other track athlete who you might talk to, especially a thrower, you'll probably hear them say the same thing, like, "Oh, I got into track because coach said it'd make me stronger or help me with footwork." Like that's the norm for track throwers. I don't know if you ever heard that, but that's
I haven't, but that's an interesting aspect because now that I think about it, there was a lot of linemen at Bethany when I was there that were throwers on the track team. And now that kind of makes sense to me now. It's like, why are you doing two sports in college? Like, you should focus on one. And that it kind of makes sense now.
Oh, yeah. And you look at the top athletes, like, I just know the name one, like J.J. Watt. When he was in college, you know, he did football and track. Was a shot put thrower, I think. So even at, like, the professionals, like, even they'll, like, have that same thing, that same bug in there, you know, saying, like, oh, do track. It's going to help you. So for me, it did. I really love the sport. And it's funny because with that too, you know, a lot of people who do that for that reason will be like, I'm doing football. I'm just doing track just because. And that's great. But I think a lot of people don't really realize that it's a very legit and competitive sport that you have to, if you want to be good, devote a lot of time into. And that's what I liked about it. And I like the individual aspect too. You know, I love football, but sometimes team sports just drive me insane. Like what you were saying before about like, oh, the O-line like missed their blocks, so now the team loses. Like I hated that. I absolutely hated that. If I was going to lose, it was because of me.
Right.
You know, that's what I wanted. If I wanted to win, it was because of me. I just like that better for me when competing against anything. Just that individual aspect of it, I love. So I ended up doing track and sticking with that, and pretty much really loved it. And, you know, it got me a lot of success. I mentioned I broke that record. Senior year was like the weight throw record for indoor. Broke that record, which I think hasn't been broken since '97.
Okay.
So that was definitely one of my goals. Start of sophomore year in college, so I was really, really psyched about that.
That's huge. I mean, I only wish I knew what that was like. Like I said, I should have broken a record at Bethany, and that record honestly has sat there since I think it was 55, so even a lot longer than 97. And like that was my goal. I would walk by it out of the locker room every day. They had the big board with all the times and all the records on it. And I was like, 100 backstroke. That's my stroke. That's my race. I'm coming for that time. Like that's just, I want to break that record so bad. And I was close, so I know what it was like to not do it. So to be able to actually do it, that's a huge accomplishment for you. And you know, kudos to you for that. To be able to make it to the board in college, because I don't think a lot of people understand how much that drives like an individual sport like track or swimming or anything like that. You know, like you're not up against a team. You're really up against yourself and an individual who went there and it set a record, and now you got to try to break that record. So, you know, it's another aspect to it. And I'll tell you this, for your football players and even your brother there, get him into swimming. just as a workout if he wants to. I mean, I've told this story on here a number of times, but I had a buddy at Bethany. He was a football player, big dude. Always said I played a sissy sport because I was in the water, and he was just like, "Oh, you're not even probably in shape." That blah blah blah. Football's way harder. I was like, "All right, man. So how about we go do a workout in the pool?" And he at first was like, "Oh, I'll crush that." I was like, "I'll do it with you. I already did one today. I'll do another one with you. It's only going to make me better. Whatever." So he gets in there. I get the workout from the day from Coach McGowan, who was still at his office, and we get in the pool, and we got through the warm up. And he looked at me and goes, "Man, that was intense." I was like, "Dude, that's to get us ready for what we're about to do. Like, that's the warm up." Like, it brought me such joy seeing him like limp around campus the next day because he was using muscles he didn't know he had. But me and him had that relationship, and then even still, he'd be like, "Hey man, can I get that swimming workout?" Like in the off season, and he would do pool workouts with me in the off season to get himself ready for football, and it helped him. His cardio was better. He wasn't getting tired. He wasn't taking as many plays off, asking for substitutions, and it worked. And I kept telling the football coach, like, "Hey man, you got to put your players through some of these workouts. I'm telling you, it's only going to make your team better and stronger." And you know what? I swear by it. I'm trying to beat that into my 13-year-old's head right now that he needs to get in the pool and start working out. But I'm talking to a teenager, so I might as well talk to this desk that I'm sitting at right now. I'll get better results.
That's how it always is, man.
And I tell you, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's so true, like with swimming and everything, because like you said, you're using muscles and you're working in a way that your body probably is never, ever used to. Mm-mm. And that's not going to make you weak in like any sport. That's just going to make you like, I mean, you can't be swimming during the football season or anything like that probably. But if you do it like an off season or even for like once every 2 weeks or something like that, like just that type of training will set your body right and, in so many ways.
Absolutely. And, like you were saying about your younger brother being, a big boy, I have one of those in my 13-year-old. Like I said, he just turned 13 in May. He is 5'10", 207 pounds. And he's my little tank at that age. And he plays the line in his 8th grade team this year. And, it's easy for me to coach that too as well because I played football in high school. I swam in high school, and obviously in college, and just trying to tell him like, "Hey man, I'm telling you, if you want to do anything with football, you will thank me later. Trust me, I'm doing this for you. That it'll only make you stronger and better." But he's realizing that the team sports, like you said, his cousin plays with him. They're 6 weeks apart in age. And my nephew is running back. And I can't tell you how many times I see those two fight on the field because my son might have missed a block and got my nephew kind of had to make some moves just to get back to the line of scrimmage. And those two, and it's hysterical to me. And I have to talk to both of them after. It's like, now, see, you, Brady, didn't make my son. Brady, you didn't make your block. You got Rusty hurt, and he got crushed in the backfield. That's the part of a team. You got to be a part of the team. If somebody doesn't do their job, the team's not going to do well. And it's great to see that in kids and everything like that too as well. But teenagers, I love my son to death. I don't think I like him that much as a teenager. If I can say that, it's just.
Yeah, I think I've heard that. Definitely. That's the teenage mentality.
But we were talking about it briefly. One more last thing I want to talk about here, then I got to get into this segment. Fiddy also tells me you're a big workout guy too as well. So take me through that. What do you do now to kind of keep yourself in shape, even with all the travel and everything you do for work?
Oh yeah, so I started travel last year, and that I kind of there was a couple weeks where I fell away from working out, and it just bugs me. I can't go a day without working out. Like, I definitely caught the bug. Like, I'm addicted to working out now. Like, I love it. I have this local gym that I go to in Greenville. Not sure if you've heard of it. It's called Faber Fitness.
I have not heard of that.
This gym is legit. So I went there. My dad, my brother went there before I started my senior year of college. And then I would hear them talk about it and everything, like, oh man, these workouts are crazy. And I'd just be like, I want to try. Like, I want to give it a whirl. Let's see how crazy they are. I went to start, after junior year ended, that whole summer. Just doing the workouts, doing the lifts. And it was basically like an athletic training gym. It's this little barn in Greenville. And it's got all you need. Like, it has dumbbells, obviously, squat rack, benches. It's got a skier, assault bike, row machine. So there's some CrossFit cardio equipment in there too. And I went there my whole summer, and that's when I felt, and I'm not kidding you, the best shape I've ever been in. And right now I'm like the strongest I've ever been, like the most confident I've been. So I'll still go to that gym like pretty much every day. I try to go 5:30 in the morning because I know with traveling, with traveling, like, man, I drive all day. I don't feel like going to work out at night. And he has certain classes, so sometimes I'll miss those classes and everything. But, I try to start my day with a hefty workout, and it honestly sets me right for the rest of the day. Like, I feel so mentally great, confident, ready for anything. But a lot of what the workouts now I do are a lot of like some bodybuilding, some powerlifting elements in there, obviously some cardio in there too, but it's all fast paced, all supersets, all like just all intense workouts, like giving it your all 100%. And you're leaving there like just drenched in sweat, but you just keep coming back. And there's people who go there who are in their like 40s. My dad's 54 and he still goes there. He gives it his all. It's so fun to watch and so fun to lift with him and all the other people that go in there. Like it's a great group, and I hope I still get to go there for a very long time.
That's awesome. I fell out of, working out. I used to be that gym rat like you, and, I was in the gym twice a day sometimes, but, I'd always start in the morning, not 5:30 in the morning, but, it was, it was in the morning. But, you're right. It sets your day off right when you get that workout in. You feel a little bit better. You can move a little bit better throughout the day, kind of get your mind right for whatever you got to tackle throughout the day. And, it's good for you to keep on doing that. But kids kind of put a damper on a lot of things. I keep talking about. Okay, I keep talking bad about my son. I love him to death. He's not like. I gotta make this right. I love my son to death.
It's a good rant. It's a rant podcast. I get
it. I wouldn't trade him for the world. I'm making him sound like he's the worst person on the planet. He's not. But yeah, things change, and now my workout is every now and again he still thinks he can take on, the old man and wants the rest, which I think every little boy goes through. He has that stage where, I now weigh more than dad, so now I bet I can take dad. And I prove him wrong every time. Like, I'm just like, it's just my favorite saying to him. And he's getting tired of hearing it. But I'm like, well, when you beat me, I'll stop saying it. It's like, all right, little man, if you think you're big enough to step into the jungle, let's step into the jungle, and I'll show you how big you're not. Like, that's right.
See, there you go. You have to do that. Like, my dad's the same way. Like, I lifted because of my dad. Like, he's big into lifting. He's lifted basically since his early 20s. He's huge. Like, he's big. And you grew up watching that, and you have that same mentality, like that competitive mentality that oh yeah, dad, look at this. I'm almost as big as you. Yeah. And then he'll just say his comments like, okay. Like, well, let's go to the gym right now. We'll test that. So, little things like that.
I understand that 100%. It's so much fun to mess with him. But my wife is like, can't you let him win just once? I was like, what does that teach him? That teaches him nothing. Like,
exactly.
No. he's going to work for it, and he's going to appreciate it when he does actually, because it's not going to be long. Like I'm getting old, and movements are starting to be just not like they used to be, and but. Yeah, when we play video games, every now and again we'll play video games. I don't let him win at that either. Like I'm not. I'm gonna give it. I'm a competitor. I'm competitive in everything, no matter what it is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna beat him, and until he beats me, that's just how it's gonna go. Like this. That's where we're at.
And then your wife's probably like, "Oh, it's just Mario Kart. Just let him win just once."
100%. 100%.
No, even then.
Absolutely. We play Mario Kart a lot, and it's just. He's always like, "This is my track." I'm like, "Dude, I'm an OG at Mario Kart. I was playing Mario Kart before you were born, man. Like, you're not gonna beat me at any track." It's just
they don't even know.
you gotta teach them early. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at.
Oh, for sure.
But like I said, we are running down near the end of the episode. I got to get this segment in because Fitty will kill me if I don't, and that is the Fast Fitty 5. 5 random questions from the wonderful manager of the podcast, Johnny Fitty Falcone. And Sam, these have nothing to do with what we've been talking about the entire time. For the new listeners out there, this is rapid fire, but you can elaborate if you need to. So if you're ready, we can get rolling with these questions.
All right, let's go for it.
All right, question number 1. Which superhero would you want to be?
Ooh, I like this one. I'm going to go old school. I love Batman. He's my favorite. I feel like he can do anything because he can. He's not too showy. He's super chill, super tough. I love Batman. Definitely Batman.
I got to go with that. That's always my answer, too, for that. People ask me, like, why do you want to be Batman? I was like, because his superpower is he's super rich. And when you're not Batman, you get to be billionaire Bruce Wayne. Like, go on.
He's the best. Oh, the best.
All right, question number 2. Which state is better, North Carolina or South Carolina?
Haven't been to either, but I'm going to say, I feel like I want to say North Carolina.
Okay. Question number 3. Which is the best flavor of sunflower seeds?
Ooh. I think, I'm basic. I just like plain.
Okay.
I'm a big salt guy, so like the salt from the sunflower seeds just hits. Or no, I take that back because I think there's a black pepper one.
Yeah,
I think there is. Yeah, that's my go-to because that's like that salty, but I love black pepper too. So that's a big one for me.
All right. Seems to be a food theme here with question number 4. The best flavor of Pop-Tarts is?
This is controversial. I grew up with the chocolate chip one.
Yeah.
So I love that chocolate chip one because that's the best one that you can eat plain or toasted. Mm-hmm. I feel like people don't toast their Pop-Tarts anymore. The more I talk to people, they don't do that.
You're 100% right. I haven't heard of somebody toasting a Pop-Tart in forever.
I don't get why.
It's a great point. I toast my Pop-Tarts all the time still. I don't care.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, that chocolate chip one it's the one where it's like the tan coating, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that with a glass of milk in the morning, the best.
Absolutely. Last question here. Food again. Last question. Are oranges overrated or underrated?
Oranges?
Oranges.
Oh, I think they're perfectly rated.
Perfectly rated.
Yeah, because I think they're pretty versatile. I love orange juice, fresh orange juice, though. I'm not a fan of, like, the Tropicana, like, the fresh, like, too much sugar. Yeah. Like, it's got that weird taste to it. But fresh squeezed orange juice, I think is pretty good. Yeah, I feel like people don't make too much of a big deal out of them, but I think they're perfectly rated.
Okay, that's that's the Fast 55. I want to live in the mind of Johnny Fitty Falcone when he comes up with these questions. Like I said, they had nothing to do with what we've been talking about for the entirety of this show. But
I like it. They're all food. I guess I look fatter than I do muscular, so I gotta,
I don't know.
Gotta go earlier then.
He goes through spurts. Typically, for the last couple shows have been animals, but I feel like we're getting into the food portion of his questions because he goes back and forth between foods and animals for whatever reason. I don't know why, but started off with that superhero question though. That was probably one of his better ones I think he's had in a long time.
That was a good question.
All right. Well, Sam, I give every guest this opportunity at the end of the show. If there's anything you want to promote, anything you want to get out there, I'm going to give you about a minute. The floor is yours, whether it's a good message, why Teal College, anything like that. The floor is yours, my man.
Absolutely. Well, I'll obviously give Teal College that shout out, of course. Definitely a great place where you definitely get the attention you need. Whether it's with sports, whether it's with, more importantly, your career, you're getting that focus and you're getting that attention, you're getting that guidance, you're getting that education. A lot of Teal College is that hands-on work where it really matters the most. You get to understand what you'll be doing the rest of your life. You'll understand what's required of you, what skills you need, networking skills, how to get involved, just all of those little things that you'll need for a really good career. That's what you're getting.
All right, man. Hey, I love it. For Teal College, definitely look this man up if you're interested in Teal College. Sam Faber, for sure. That is going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. I want to thank Sam for joining the show. This has been a blast to talk to you, Sam. And you know what? If you're thinking about a college and you're not sure, Teal College might be the way to go for you, whether it's with athletics or even just academics too as well, which is why people should be going to college, not just for sports. But like I said, that's going to do it for this week's episode. As always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't like it, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you didn't. That's going to do it for me, and I will see y'all next week. The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by W Energy. Energy drinks made for gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. For gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. Go to the link in the description where you can find the best energy drinks out there. Less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Also, no jitters and no crash afterwards. Use the promo code Mike Bono and get yourself 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my favorite sponsor of the show, and that is Shankit Golf. Golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We might not go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but this is going to give us the gear that's going to help us rocket on and off of the course. Go to the link in the bio, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get yourself 10% off there as well.